Hi lovely viewers, and welcome to Get Well Stay Well on Revelation TV. As always, you're joined by me, Si, and delighted to be joined by lovely Felicity. How you doing?
Hi there, Si. I'm doing really well. We've got a really interesting one again today. It's on diabetes.
Okay.
Because diabetes is becoming such a huge problem now. It's almost as bad as heart disease. And in fact, diabetes leads on to heart disease. So it's a great thing to get sorted. And we can, in fact, completely get rid of it, which most of our doctors are not telling us at all. But Dr. Joel Fuhrman has made a wonderful new film called I Thrive. And he actually trained me years and years ago at Hallelujah Acres, which was a Christian institute where you learnt about health, God's healing word, you know, in Genesis 1:29 and 30.
Yes.
So that was the Reverend Dr. George Malkmus, who I adored. He was absolutely great and ordained me as a health minister years ago.
Yes.
So we used to have various lecturers come and teachers. And Dr. Joel Fuhrman in those days was one of the guys. So he has now written many best-selling books on health. And they've come out with this really good film. It's a bit like The Truth About Cancer, you know. They've come out with The Truth About Diabetes. So it really is good news for all our wonderful Get Well, Stay Well viewers that we can, in fact, reverse stage 2 completely.
I mean, you mentioned about the films there, and there are so many films that are coming out now related to health, and it's a wonderful way for people to become educated on health, and they're so well produced as well. They're like, some of them are like Hollywood blockbusters, but they're so informative. They
are, and they're getting people well so that they stay well. So it's not just a question of taking medication, it's a question of really getting rid of this blood sugar problem in the body. So that's our first film. Then we're going on to a little sugar detox, which is going to be really interesting, and a healthy recipe on chili, lentil, and walnuts. So we've got a really exciting program today.
Talk to us a little bit about diabetes. Of some of the viewers may be thinking, or watching for the first time, thinking, I didn't know diabetes. You could actually overcome diabetes, so it's curable. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, the Gerson therapy has been curing everything for a long, long time, with radical detox and, you know, coming back to God's diet with the fruits, the vegetables, the seeds, nuts, the herbs, and the green plant, as I always say, because this is my ministry.
Yeah. And
it got me well from pancreatic cancer in 2003. And I know we've got new viewers all the time, so I have to sort of repeat what's happened in the past. And when we detox from the processed foods and the high sugar content that we've now all got used to, we can in fact heal the body, which is wonderful. You know, God has made us miraculously and wonderfully made. It's incredible, it's just like the Psalm. And the body can regenerate, which is such good news for people.
So if we want to detox, what would be step 1 of a detox process?
The first thing is to drink an awful lot of water. Really drink lots of water. Try and get off the sugars. Try and get off the high fat, sugar and salt diet that we've all adopted, you know, all the snack food and the...
Well, it's the food that we've always been accustomed to, isn't it? The processed foods growing up as children. And now things are starting to change, and more important, we now need to look for the next generation and educate them so they're prepared for the future.
I would say it's more your generation and probably the one in between us, because in fact, I was brought up with real food, you know, with the farm and with the onions and the carrots and basic real food.
I mean, to be honest, I know exactly what you're saying, because I referred to my grandparents.
Yeah.
And they were brought up on farms, and they were very much growing their own fruits and vegetables. And even, funny enough, my wife's father, he has his own farm. He grows his own fruits and vegetables fresh. Whereas there is something happened in the generation. I wonder if it's because technology's been introduced and people are changing their careers and it's all becoming computer-based, and people have changed their lives from being on the outside, in the outdoors. Now everything is so inside, indoors, technology-based, on the computers and everything else.
That's right, and I think it stems from America.
Yeah.
Because that was, you know, where the TV dinners and the microwaves and all this sort of thing. You know, we started trying to make life easier for the housewives. You know, people going out to work, women were trying to run a job as well as running the house, which was not the case really when I was very young, because you you were either a career girl and then you got married and you gave up your career and you had your babies.
Yes.
So that was the way we lived, and it was really much easier, I think, for people. But now with the cost of living, two people have to go out and earn the bread.
Yeah, exactly.
So it has changed, and I think it started in America, and then Britain very soon followed suit. So we got into this processed food, high sugar content diet, and that's why people have become so ill.
Okay, well, let's have a look at this film now, talking about curing diabetes. And it's called I Thrive. And it's wonderful that we've got so many of these films available to educate, to inspire and inform us, to take care of ourselves and to take care of our families. Let's have a look at this now.
Well, if you go to a typical doctor, your regular family doctor, internist or endocrinologist, and you're diagnosed with diabetes, they're going to typically tell you you're going to have diabetes the rest of your life. They're going to give you medications. They're going to give a short, maybe one-sentence thing about eating healthy or eating a better diet, but they're going to essentially have the opinion you can't get well, you're never going to become thin, you're never going to become healthy, you're going to have this incredible increased risk the rest of your life, and you have to be put on a slew of medications, including statins, which make you gain weight and increase the risk of developing more severe diabetes and make you more insulin resistant. And they give you diabetic medications, and some of the medications for diabetes, as we mentioned earlier, cause weight gain and make you gain weight and become more insulin resistant, become more diabetic, just to keep the sugars down. I'm saying medical care to a degree is we can consider barbaric. I'm saying let's motivate people. Let's motivate people to let them know they can get totally well. They don't have to have heart disease, they don't have to have strokes, they don't have to have diabetes. They can become non-diabetic for the rest of their life. The American diet is now 55% of calories from processed foods. Most of what Americans eat are processed diabetic-causing foods, plus they eat a whole bunch of animal products, plus the processed foods. You know, of course we have everybody sick. If you eat the food that makes you sick, and everybody eats it, they're all going to get sick. But here's the thing, is that when people have the opportunity to get well and they see their weight pouring off them effortlessly and they see their diabetes going away, they get excited about life again. And you know what happens? Their emotions improve. Their outlook on life improves. Their depression and that mental fog lifts. Number one is that when you eat so healthfully, it suppresses your appetite and removes cravings and food addictions, number one. And number two, your taste buds change and you learn to prefer eating this way. And out of this study I published with over 750 people, as they increase the nutrient content of their diet, the quality of what they eat, they desire less calories, number one. And number two, the most fascinating thing was that within 6 months, they liked eating this way as much or more than their prior diet. The point is when you earn back your health and you feel so good, nothing tastes as good as great health.
That's so true. Nothing really does taste as good as great health. And when you start changing your health habits and you're starting to improve the eating, change your lifestyle and everything else, you feel wonderful, you feel more energy, and you feel great.
To be out of pain, Si, is just amazing, you know. And when I was in a lot of pain with cancer, obviously, and I thought I'm never going to get out of pain again, but when the pain went away, I mean, it was absolute benediction. It was amazing. So for people with arthritis, for diabetes, who do suffer, you know, how amazing it is to get yourself well. So, okay, it's worth giving up those sugary things that one's wanted to eat and, you know, get back to God's diet. Because
how do we, let me just ask you a question, Felicity. How do we educate the young people, or we say my generation, or the generation gap between yourself and I, of thinking, okay, we want to prevent any of these diseases from occurring, and not wait until we're actually in desperation and have to have a radical change to our lifestyle. Because like you say, it's dreadful when you're going through such pain. And there are so many of these diseases that people go through so much pain. But in order to educate ourselves to say, okay, let's prevent this, let's stop this from happening in the future, how can we get the word out?
Well, you know, the amazing thing is that I'm on Facebook a lot, as you know, with Get Well, Stay Well and Felicity Corbin-Wheeler.
Yes.
And I'm getting so many young people, teenagers, and people in their 20s, which is almost a generation below you, are actually coming into wanting to know more about health. I'm absolutely amazed.
And it's so interesting you talk about social media, because We're constantly on social media, and it's true. You see so many health articles, so many health bloggers and people interested, young people interested in health. And it's been a change, I would say, only in the last maybe 5 to 10 years, really. What would you say is part of the reason for that?
I think it's you and me doing Get Well, Stay Well.
We're changing the world, Felicity.
I think we are.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we are, one viewer at a time. But
Yeah.
it is incredible when I'm on the phones, you know, as I was last night, just speaking with the viewers.
Yes.
Amazing. People say, you don't know how you've changed my lifestyle, you know,
Yes.
for my family, and my children are now doing this, and the grandchildren are getting into this. So
Well, that's the beauty of this, isn't it? Is because you introduce it to one person. That one person realizes, wow, this really does change my life. It improves my life. It improves my health. I feel great for it. And then they spread the message. They tell their friends. They tell their family. At the end of the day, we're talking about health. And it's something that we want the people around us to be living healthy lives as well.
it's being the role model. And, you know, when I finished training, I trained at several different places in the world. And, you know, they all said to us, don't exhaust yourself stressing out to change the world. Just be a role model.
Yeah.
And people will come to your door and want to know what you're doing and how you've recovered and, you know, how you regenerated the body. So I don't worry, you know, when people argue with me, I say, right, just do your research, that's fine. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Have your eggs and bacon and your
Yeah.
sausages. I used to love them too.
Yeah.
But I don't do it anymore because I know what it does to my body.
I guess it's what it's doing in a way is like we do with the gospel of spreading Jesus Christ, is you're planting the seed and you're planting the organic seed. So we say,
As God is, He's always
that's-
given us a choice, hasn't He?
But that's at the end of the day, is you're getting someone into a conversation, even though they might not necessarily agree with it straight
Yeah.
away, and they might not convert straight away to say, yes, you're absolutely right, Felicity. But you've got them, made them think about their health. Although they may seem defensive, they're still talking about it, which is good.
You sow a seed.
Yeah.
And God will always water it, as you know, because it's funny. So many people say, you know, they were just switching channels and they suddenly see us talking about health and it sort of rings a bell because most people
Yeah.
are suffering in some way
Yeah.
with stress, with headaches, with fatigue. And, you know, then they get diagnosed with diabetes or heart disease or something. And then they're on all this medication, which, of course, is making loads of money for Big Pharma and not actually getting people well. So there are lots of institutes, unfortunately not in UK yet, where people go and detox radically and everybody gets well. It's incredible.
Now, we're talking about diabetes today. How can we go and check our own blood sugar levels?
Well, and we did a little program, you remember, with the little machines, so
Yes.
people can prick their finger and actually test their blood sugar, which is a really good idea because you can see what is actually causing the problem. And when you've eaten that, you think, right, I won't be doing that again.
Yeah.
And so they're now producing a new kind that you don't even have to prick the finger, you know, it's done digitally, so it's much more comfortable for people.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's a matter of discipline at the end of the day. And, you know, God gives us choices. We can either choose the good things or the bad things. And we always suffer the consequences when we try to do things on our own.
And it's about choices. It's about changing your lifestyle as well. People are used to maybe with the processed foods, a lot of sugary foods.
Yes.
How do you change your taste buds? Because you're used to having sugary food, sugary drinks perhaps. How do you do that transformation?
Well, you see, there are some healthy sugars as well, like raisins, dates,
Right.
stevia, which is a green plant,
Yes.
which I'm always talking about, agave syrup as well,
Yes.
but that's usually genetically modified now. But, you know, there are healthy alternatives. So
Because you could do a lovely little mix of nuts and seeds with a little bit of raisins in there. You're getting your sweet, but it's still quite healthy
That's
as well,
right.
isn't it?
And that's a snack to have in the car,
Yes,
you know, to have a little
exactly.
packet of those with you. And then you don't, you know, you don't make the bad choices then. And it's really a matter of preparation. You prepare to succeed.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you prepare to fail, basically, because we're all human. And if we are hungry and, you know, there's a cup of coffee with the milk and the sugar there, and there's the biscuits there. And
That's
so
the thing,
we'll
isn't
go
it?
for it.
It's
yeah.
the snack time, and that's where people find they're most tested, is during that time of snack time, in between meals, taking snacks and everything else. So we've got another video that I'd love to show you now. And this one really is talking about sugar. So let's have a look at this now.
My name is Vani Hari, author and founder of foodbabe.com. I used to be addicted to sugar. My brain would scream, "Sugar, sugar." As soon as I got my fix, a little bit was never enough either. I wanted more and more and more. I know many of you can relate. That's because the food industry has made it nearly impossible to avoid sugar. It's hidden in almost everything. The processed food industry carefully engineers their products to hit what they call the bliss point that keeps us wanting more and more. They have refined the art of addiction so well, they are like dealers, and the food in the grocery aisles are drugs. So many of us are addicted and don't even realize it. Did you know that 80% of the grocery store food would vanish if they didn't have sugar? Sugar is toxic, plain and simple. It wreaks havoc on our bodies, makes us age faster than we should, destroys our skin, makes it easy to carry a spare tire around our bellies, and taxes our organs. It's time to break your addiction to the food industry's most popular food additive. Many people have tried simply to stop eating sugar and have failed. That's because most of us are on a sugar-craving roller coaster and don't know how to put on the brakes. But there is a way, and I've found it. It's time for the 7-day sugar detox. Do you think you can do it? I know you can. When you sign up for this program, you'll be given instant access to our Food Babe 7-day sugar detox website full of instructional videos, downloadable easy-to-follow guides, and a private forum. You'll receive 2 sets of sugar detox recipes for 7 days. So whether you are a vegan, gluten-free, paleo, vegetarian, or a meat eater, I've got you covered. And of course, all of this food is additive-free, especially from those additives the food industry uses that makes you eat more than you should. I made sure each recipe is easy to follow and the prep and cook times are short. And if you hate to cook, don't worry. You can use the guidelines in this plan to help you choose the best foods to eat when you're dining out.
Absolutely fantastic. So interesting there. And it's interesting some of the recipes and some of the items that we saw on screen as well. We can be making all of these items from home ourselves.
We can do it all at home, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an American film, and how I long for some nice British clips, you know, and for all this stuff to come out with British people. But there we are. It hasn't happened yet. But, of course, I've got a little course, the Get Well, Stay Well course. People can follow that. It's very easy to detox, and it takes just a couple of weeks until you get used to having the raisins and the dates and the healthy sugars, and in the end you don't want them. In fact, if you then had a teaspoon of sugar in a drink, you would feel absolutely sick.
Right.
Because it is such a poison.
What do you think about people who are drinking fizzy drinks, sugary drinks? Obviously, that we know they're dangerous.
Loaded.
But people say, oh, but it's okay. You know, you've got the Cola Zero and the no without caffeine and lights and all of that. But at the end of the day, if there's no sugar, it's still substituted in some way, isn't it?
Well,
It's still
the low
dangerous.
sugar is even more dangerous. It's aspartame,
Yes.
which is much more dangerous than the real sugar. You know, the healthiest sugar would be the brown cane sugar, straight from the cane fields. And then, of course, they refine it, and now they've made it into artificial sugars, the aspartame, and lots of other names, because as soon as aspartame was exposed, they started calling it lots of other names as well. So people really have to read the labels, you know, and one of the things I do is teach people how to read the labels, and, you know, it just means taking your glasses or your, you know, magnifying glass, actually, in some cases, to see what is actually in these products.
Is there a reason why they make the ingredients
Of course,
so
they
small
make them
so you
so
can't
small,
read them? Yeah.
But, you know, the good news is that a lot of the supermarkets, and I don't like to name them, but there are some that are going really organic now.
Very good.
And one very near us, the one that I shop in.
And it's interesting when you see fizzy drinks in the shops and they say no added sugar. They've obviously still got sugar in there, but when you're reading it from a distance, it says no added sugar. People think, oh, this is a healthy option, but really, it really isn't, is it?
You want to get back to the real fruit. So what I do is make a lovely glass with water, and then just put some fruit in there, say some tangerines, some satsumas, some grapes even. And if you steep that for a few hours, that tastes absolutely delicious. Or cucumber, or lemon water,
Ooh,
you know,
yeah,
beautiful.
very good, yeah.
And that's the real thing. And of course that alkalizes the body instead of acidifying it.
I mean, let's talk about our children as well and how we can change their lifestyle and make them become more healthy as well. And children are so much about the vision. Whatever they see is delicious for them, and that determines whether they're going to eat it or not. How can we prepare some really healthy, delicious snacks, but also that looks tasty as well?
Well, that's the thing. That's why they love the juicing, because it's fun to do, and they see the gorgeous colours coming out, you know, the carrot and the green. Wonderful colours. Never mix them, because then it turns to mud, which looks awful. But, you know, the bright orange is gorgeous, and the yellows, lovely. Orange, pineapple, all these beautiful things.
Give us an idea, some of the ingredients. Give it a couple of different recipes, perhaps, for our juicing recipes available for our children.
Well, the green juice is the classic one.
Right.
So that would be based on cucumber, and you can put a little celery, anything green, basically. I get the greens from my garden, so I can put in some celery, some mint, some coriander, you know, anything that tastes nice. And always an apple, one apple.
Yes.
And juice of half a fresh lemon.
Yes.
And it tastes wonderful, basically.
And cucumber as well is a fantastic ingredient.
Cucumber's lovely. It's very, very calming, and it's high water content, so it's a great one to juice.
Yeah.
And also you can blend, of course, with it. And then if you add an avocado in, or a banana into the blender, then it makes a more substantial drink. So that's a lovely way to go.
We're talking about diabetes today. How much sugar is one consuming in order to have diabetes to a certain extent?
Well, just too much for your particular body. You know, everyone's different. Obviously, you're a big guy, and I'm just a little lady. So obviously, it's a different amount, and it just depends. You can tell from the glucometer, so people can tell exactly how much they should have, and you know the waist size as well. So waist under 30 inches for a girl, 35 for a guy, and basically then you're not going to be diabetic. It's when people put on the weight, and they can't help it because it is the food that they've been used to, and probably their parents have had as well now.
Yes.
But when I go back to thinking of the food that I grew up with, you know, in South Africa, basically, beautiful fresh fruits and vegetables.
When we think about the African countries, we think about the Asian countries, and they've got such a healthy diet, isn't it? It's just...
Yes, they are. They are much healthier, and that's why the people are much stronger and more resilient.
Yes.
But when they come to live in the West, it's like the Japanese who go to live in America, and within a few years the women are getting breast cancer, just as the American women are.
Yeah.
Whereas in Japan, on their traditional diet, they hardly ever had any kind of breast cancer.
Well, we've got a lovely little video now we just want to end the program with, and this is a lovely, delicious recipe. Let's have a look at this now.
And our last recipe is going to be some chili tacos made with lentils and walnuts for that extra nice crunch, heartiness. Oh, these are so good. And we're going to top it with avocado. Oh, these are amazing. Chop up walnuts, garlic, and green onions. Saute the garlic and onions, then add in the walnuts to toast for a couple of minutes. Add chili powder and cumin to also toast for a minute or so longer on medium-low heat. Now add a can of cooked lentils and a can of diced tomatoes. Stir well and season with a little salt. Bring it to a simmer and cook for about 5 minutes. Then stir in the spinach. Turn off the heat and season to taste. While the taco filling cooks, warm up tortillas in a skillet or microwave. Fill the tortillas with the lentil chili and top with avocado, green onion, cilantro, and lime. I'm so ready to eat. Yes, all that avocado.
Oh, that looks absolutely delicious, didn't it?
Well, I just had avocado salad for my lunch. I had
Yeah.
avocado and beetroot chopped up, and it was absolutely delicious with a little bit of hummus. And let me tell you what the good things are in avocado. Pantothenic acid, that's B5, dietary fiber, vitamin K, copper, folate,
Wow.
B6, potassium, vitamin E, vitamin C. You see, you've got all that in the most delicious avocado.
Yeah.
And you
wow.
get them, I mean, that makes a meal. It was
Yes.
the most delicious lunch.
Yeah.
So these things are not expensive, Si. So there we go. An avocado, a beetroot, and a little bit of hummus. That makes a meal.
And it sounds absolutely delicious, Felicity. So we've been talking about diabetes today. That's the main subject on today's programme. Just to explain to our viewers once again, if you can, how they can overcome diabetes.
That we really can overcome it despite what we're told by orthodox doctors. We can really do that, and it's been done for years and years with the Gerson treatment, with Dr. Gabriel Cousins. People only have to look online. They'll see a place called the Tree of Life, which is in Arizona. He's been getting people well for donkey's years on this, and it is tough. It's a detox, but once people get well, as Dr. Joel Furman says, nothing tastes as good as feeling well.
Very good. And some advice for our children as well. How can we get them to become healthy?
Well, they only get hooked on the bad stuff if their parents let them have it.
Yeah.
So really, it's a question for the parents to be firm, and for the parents to be educated, really. That's why I love to teach at schools or wherever I can go and reach people and spread the good news, because nobody wants to have diabetes.
Excellent. Felicity, thank you so much indeed for joining us today. And thank you also to our lovely viewers as well. I hope today's programme has been interesting for you. Do remember that we've got a catch-up service on our website. Simply go on to www.revelationtv.com. We're on social media, all over the social media platforms. Please search Revelation TV on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. If you check us out on YouTube, you'll see all the videos that we have available, the Get Well, Stay Well programs, the segments, our catch-up service on our website with all the previous Get Well, Stay Well series. There's a topic for every program that we do. So if this has been interesting for you, please do feel free to share the program and tell all your friends about it as well. And Felicity, if our viewers want further information about your website, what is that?
Okay, the website is hippocratesineurope.com, and Facebook, Felicity Corbin-Wheeler, and Get Well, Stay Well.
Lovely jubbly. Thanks so much for joining us today. Take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.